Our study this evening is entitled The Three New Testament Proofs for AD 27 Baptism. In our topic, The On-Time Messiah, we have seen the 69 weeks of Daniel's prophecy. It started in the year 457 BC, which was the seventh year of King Artaxerxes' reign. And it brought us to AD 27, the year Jesus was baptized. Now, do we have any New Testament proofs to verify whether AD 27 was indeed the baptism year of Jesus Christ? Yes, indeed. Matthew, Luke, and John all three confirm that Jesus was indeed baptized in the year AD 27. We need to remember that the dating system came later, but the Bible gives us specific historical events by which we can calculate from history the year of Jesus' baptism. Dionysius Exeges invented Anno Domini, or AD, in the year 538 to date Easter. Also, Christians during his time were saying the world will end 500 years after the birth of Jesus. So, he came up with his calculation to show that already 535 years have passed since the birth of Jesus. Now, Dionysius Exeges was almost right in his calculation. He was pretty close, but not spot on. Later, when other historical records were discovered, we see Dionysius got it wrong just by 3 years. Christ was born 3 years before the AD calendar that he invented. So Christ was born actually in 4 BC because there is no 0 year in the calendar. Now, this year is 2021. So from the birth of Jesus Christ to this year, it is 2021 years plus 3 years. That is 2024 years, because Jesus was born in 4 BC. We will now look at the 3 New Testament proofs that show that Jesus was baptized in 27 AD. Proof number 1 is the death of Herod. According to the Gospel of Matthew, in chapter 2, we see that Herod was ruling the land of Judea when Jesus was born. Remember, the wise men came and met Herod asking, "Where is the king of the Jews?" And Herod, after that, he issued a death decree to kill all the babies who were below 2 years of age. We know that in Matthew chapter 2 and verse 13, where it says, Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And so the angel told Joseph, "Take the child and the mother and flee to Egypt and be there until the death of Herod." So Jesus and Joseph and Mary were in Egypt till the death of Herod. And very soon Herod died and they returned back to their own home country. Now the encyclopedia gives us the date for the death of Herod. We read in the Encyclopedia Britannica under the article Herod the Great, born 73 BC, died March/April 4 BC, Jericho, Judea. The New Testament portrays him as a tyrant in whose kingdom Jesus of Nazareth was born. Now, if Herod died in 4 BC, according to historical sources, then Jesus was born either in 4 BC, the year Herod died, but not definitely after. Maybe 4 BC or before, but not after. Isn't that right? Now, Luke gives us the age of Jesus when he was baptized. In Luke chapter 3, verses 22 and 23, we read, Jesus himself began to be about 30 years of age. That's when he got baptized. He was about 30 years. So, if Jesus was born the year Herod died, that is 4 BC, then he was 30 years old when? From 4 BC, if you add 30, you will come to 27 AD. Because remember, whenever you go from BC to AD, there is no 0 year, so always put +1 in your calculation. So you come to 27 AD. This is the first proof of AD 27 being the baptism year of Jesus Christ. That is Daniel's prophecy fulfilled to the dot, where he said, the command to restore Jerusalem, which was given in 457 BC, you've got to add 483 years. Then you arrive unto Messiah the Prince, and that is 27 AD from 457. And the New Testament confirms 27 to be true. Now let's go to our second proof from the New Testament. It comes from the Gospel of Luke. We are looking at the reign of Tiberius Caesar. Remember, Tiberius Caesar was not an ordinary man. He was the ruler of the great Roman Empire, the number one, the ruler of the world. And Luke writes, when Jesus was baptized, Tiberius was on the throne. He says in Luke chapter 3, verses 1 and 21, now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, now when all the people were baptized, it came to pass that Jesus also being baptized. So from this text we understand that Jesus was baptized in the 15th year of Tiberius Caesar. So what do we have to do? Go to the encyclopedias and find out when did Tiberius start to rule. And then count the 15th year, and that should give us the date of Jesus' baptism. The Encyclopedia Britannica tells us Tiberius Caesar reigned from AD 14 to AD 37. Also, it tells us the exact date of his ascension to the throne. It says in the same article, in August 19, AD 14. Now, before we calculate as to when the 15th year of Tiberius Caesar is, we need to know the Jewish rule of reckoning time for non-Jewish kings. The Jews had one method of calculating the reign of the Israelite kings and another method for calculating the reigns of the non-Israelite kings. Remember, Tiberius Caesar was a non-Israelite king that was ruling the land of Judea. Now, this is the Jewish calendar. Here we see the Hebrew names of the month in the Jewish calendar. The first month on the left-hand side is Nisan, which corresponds to March or April beginning, depending on when the new moon arrives. That is March or April in our Gregorian calendar. Now the Passover when Jesus died is on the 14th day of Nisan, the first month of the Jews. And don't Christians celebrate Good Friday around March or April, because that's the Passover time. And the seventh month you see is the month of Tishri. That was also a very important religious month, and that corresponds to September or October in our modern calendar. The Jews had a sacred calendar and a civil calendar. The sacred calendar, in the sacred calendar, Nisan was the first month, as you can see here. But in the civil calendar, Tishri was the first month. Now, that should not confuse us because even we have different calendars that we use today. I have put up 3 calendars here that we use in different fields. You have the civil calendar that we all use in general, which the starting month is January, and we end the civil year in December. Then you have the fiscal or the financial calendars that the banks use. And when does the fiscal calendar start? In April. And they end in March the next year. So also we have the academic calendars, which are used by the schools and colleges, which starts in September in most of the countries. In India, probably June or July, we start our schools and colleges. So if you start in September, when does the academic year end? Next year, August. Isn't that right? So even we use different calendars for different calculations in different fields. The same way the Jews, the first month of the sacred calendar was Nisan, but the first month of the civil calendar was Tishri. Now, which calendar did the Jews use to count the reigns of the Gentile kings? They used the civil calendar for civil purposes. Let's go to the Jewish source. It says in Talmud Rosh Hashanah, volume 3a, the years for non-Israelite kings are reckoned from Tishri. That's the first month, as you can see there, in the civil calendar. Okay, so Tiberius Caesar ascended the throne on August 19, AD 14, according to the encyclopedia. So his first year would be from that very day, August 19, AD 14 onwards. Isn't that right? And now when would his second year commence? That same year, AD 14, from October. I've just put there October 1. Why? Because October is the beginning of the civil year. So if he started August 19th till September end, that was his first year. Then October the same year, AD 14, his second year commences. And when would his third year commence? October AD 15. Fourth year, October AD 16. Fifth year, October AD 17. Sixth year, October AD 18. Seventh year, October AD 19. Eighth year, October AD 20. Ninth year, October AD 21. 10th year, October AD 22. 11th year, October AD 23. 12th year, October AD 24. 13th year, October AD 25. 14th year, October AD 26. And the 15th year of Tiberius Caesar commenced in October AD 27 onwards. I believe Jesus' baptism would have been in the month of October itself, the month of Tishri, for at least 2 reasons. Number 1, in the month of Tishri, which corresponds to October in our calendar, 3 major Jewish feasts were in this month. These are the fall feast at the end of the year. The Jewish feast of trumpets, Day of Atonement, and Feast of Tabernacles all were in October or in Tishri. And the Jews from all over the country and all over the world, they would come to Jerusalem for these 3 feasts. Since the baptism of Jesus is a great prophetic event, God would have planned it when all the Jews would be around. Number 2, we know Jesus died on the day of the Passover, which corresponds to April in our calendar. That's why Good Friday always comes in the month of April. We know from Scripture that Jesus had a public ministry after his baptism for 3.5 years, and then he died. So if Jesus got baptized in October AD 27, then October AD 30, he would complete 3 full years of his ministry. Isn't that right? And in April AD 31, he would complete 3.5 years at his death. So if Passover or Good Friday is in April, then surely Jesus was baptized in the month of October. That is Daniel's time prophecy fulfilled to the dot. Command to restore Jerusalem, 457 BC. You add 483 years, you come to Messiah the Prince, which brings us to AD 27. And Luke tells us 15th year of Tiberius Caesar. And from history we just saw it is October AD 27. We will now look at our last proof from the New Testament. The third proof is Herod rebuilding the temple. The Bible tells us in John 2 and verse 13, and the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And John records after this what happened when he was there in the temple. He saw people buying and selling and having business. And so he took a whip and chased all of them away and threw down the money changers' table and let loose the animals free. And the people ran away in fear. And then the leaders of the temple came to Jesus and they asked him a question. Who gave him authority to do this? Now this was the Passover. Remember Passover? This is the first Passover Jesus is attending after his baptism. So if he got baptized AD 27 October, this Passover is AD 28 April, because Passover is always in April in our calendar. Now, so John records here Jesus coming to the temple, and then he tells us what happened. And so Jesus answers them when they questioned him. Jesus answered and said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou raise it up in 3 days? Jesus was referring, of course, to his body temple. But they misunderstood him, and they thought he was referring to the temple of stone and bricks. But from this passage, we come to know the temple of Jerusalem was in construction since 46 years at this point of time when they were having this discussion. It was still in building. The continuous noun, the continuous tense is used here. Building, ing, which means the construction was still going on. It was not yet built, but in building at this point of time, 46 years. In AD 28, it was 46 years going on. Now let's go to the encyclopedia to see when the construction of the temple started. Now this is a big event in the Jewish history, and history has recorded the starting point. Herod's temple, I quote the encyclopedia, Herod's temple in Jerusalem was a massive expansion of the Temple Mount and construction of a completely new and much larger Jewish temple by King Herod the Great around 19 BCE. That is before Common Era, or we call it before Christ today. So Herod was the one who actually beautified the temple that Zerubbabel built in the 15th century. He's the same one who attempted to kill baby Jesus. And here he's the one who actually took the project of reconstructing a big temple. Now, isn't that strange? He's building the temple of God, but when the God of the temple came, he wanted to kill him. How strange it is. But from this passage, we understand 19 BC, the construction of the temple started. So let's put it here. Construction started in 19 BC. We got that from history. And from the Bible, we see 46 years the construction was going on when Jesus visited the temple at Passover after his baptism. So to 19 BC, you have to just add 46 years, you come to 28 AD. Remember, whenever you cross from BC to AD, you have to add +1 because there is no 0 year in the calendar. That's how we get 28 AD. AD 28 was Jesus' first Passover after baptism, which means Jesus was baptized the previous year in AD 27. That is Daniel's time prophecy fulfilled to the dot, which says the command to restore Jerusalem, which started in 457 BC, if you add 483 years, you come to Messiah the Prince, 27 AD. And we just saw 3 New Testament proofs for AD 27 baptism of Jesus. Beloved, this is amazing how God through Daniel predicted the very year Jesus would be baptized, and the New Testament verifies and confirms it to be true. AD 27 is the baptism year of Jesus. Amen.